this is always something I've been interested for, something that I've wanted to enrich myself with. I think a lot of people. You're a busy guy, as far as I can tell. You do speaking engagement, lectures. You operate a YouTube channel, presumably. You're a voracious reader. I saw you on the couch. You had a book open. You had like a moment. You're reading, and you're a prolific tweeter. You tweet a lot. So my question is, how do you
manic tweeter?
You are a prolific tweeter. How do you organize your time? How do you remain focused and productive in the face of insurmountable work?
Lists, schedules, and I have help. I mean, my wife in particular in the last year has been unbelievably helpful. I mean, it's become a full-time job for her, really, helping me manage my schedule and keep me on track. But a lot of it is, like, I get up in the morning, I have, like, everything's scheduled. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. There's a hierarchy of priority. And I'm really operating on a day-to-day level right now because there's so many things to do. I can't look more than about a day or two ahead, although it's basically scheduled. But I learned to discipline myself when I was in graduate school. When I was writing, I wrote a book called Maps of Meaning that was published in 1999, and I worked on that for about 15 years, about 3 hours a day. And I really sort of grabbed myself by the scruff of the neck and like forced myself to learn how to concentrate without deviation.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you focus that intensely? Because I often have trouble. Like, I get overwhelmed sometimes when I have a lot of work, and the worst feeling is like when I feel like I have a ton of work and I do work all day, but I still feel like I didn't get anything done.
Yeah, but you probably did. You probably did.
Probably.
Are you a conscientious person? Do you know?
I don't even know what exactly that means.
How do you define that?
Well, okay, so that's another thing we could mention briefly. I have a website called understandmyself.com, and I set up a coupon code for your viewers.
Oh, yeah, what is it?
So it's H3H3.
Oh,
what
cool.
say that
So,
you are the domain again?
Understandmyself.com.
Okay.
And you can go there and take a personality test that was devised in my lab. The main researcher was Dr. Colin DeYoung, who is now a professor at the University of Minnesota. But we took the standard Big Five trait model, which is the standard modern personality model. So that's extroversion, which is a positive emotion dimension. And extroverted people are enthusiastic and assertive. So you're both enthusiastic. You're really assertive. That would be my guess.
I can be.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be doing this sort of thing if you weren't extroverted,
Okay,
right?
sure, yeah.
So because you're verbally fluent and you like to engage in that sort of thing. So that's a positive emotion dimension. It's associated with the positive emotion that you feel when you're moving towards desired things. And the next dimension is, sometimes it's called neuroticism and sometimes it's called negative emotionality. Well,
big on neuroticism.
People who are high in neuroticism have some anticipatory anxiety. You have anticipatory anxiety if you're worried about going somewhere and it really bugs you, and then you get there and like 20 minutes later you're calm and it's okay.
Big time.
Every single time.
Big time. Every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's withdrawal. That's an aspect of neuroticism known as withdrawal. And the other aspect is volatility, and volatile people are touchy and irritable. So, and that's the second dimension. The third dimension is agreeableness, and agreeable people are compassionate and polite, and disagreeable people are competitive and blunt. And so women are higher in agreeableness than men. So if you take a random man and a random woman out of the population, general population, and you bet on who was more agreeable, if you bet on the woman, you'd be right 60% of the time. And the other place where men and women differ is with trait neuroticism. Women are more susceptible to anxiety and depression. So,
how can you say that if genders don't exist?
Well, yeah, that's another thing that I'm genuinely accused of, is that biological essentialism.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm experiencing those different feelings depending on the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm more extroverted. Some days I'm more reclusive. Is it generally...
That's probably volatility too. It's like variation in mood. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. So have you ever had periods of depression?
Yeah.
How long? Or you don't have to tell me.
No,
obviously.
I can tell you. It's okay. In college, I'd say a couple years.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a long time. Well, so that would be an indication. Well, it could be an indication of many things. But that's often associated with higher levels of trait neuroticism. Because you see, it isn't obvious how much negative emotion you should feel. Like, let's say you wake up in the morning and you have an ache in your side. It's like, well, is that nothing or cancer? Well, you don't know. Like, you shouldn't jump to the whole cancer conclusion.
Right.
But
Ethan
would.
would.
Immediately.
well, but you can't tell, eh? Like it's not necessary. Like, and you think, well, if it is cancer and you miss it, well, that's not so good.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes there's some utility in being on edge all the time, especially in a dangerous environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next dimension is conscientiousness, and conscientious people are industrious, and so they're guilty if they're not working. They have to work.
Yeah, I have
That's
that.
me.
You're like that.
Me
yeah,
too.
you
It's
too.
brutal. It's awful. I
brutal.
hate it.
Yeah,
Because I'm very
Yeah.
self-aware of it. Like, I feel like I can never relax.
Right.
And I feel like I
Yeah.
never got anything done.
right. Okay,
Never
so we
satisfied.
figured out why that is.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason is you're conscientious, so that's associated often with feelings of shame or guilt if you haven't got what you should have got done. And then if you're also high in negative emotion, then you worry about that. So, you know, so that can be rough. And so, and the last dimension is openness, and openness is basically interest in ideas and creativity, essentially. And so if you take this test at understandmyself.com, it will tell you where you are in relationship to 10,000 other people on those dimensions. And it's useful for, we're going to make a couples version of it so that you'll get we haven't got it up yet, so you'll have a report saying, well, you know, you're really orderly and you're not. And so you're going to have tension in your relationship because the orderly person is always going to be annoyed by your disorderliness and end up cleaning up after you all the time. And so you're going to have to be aware of that, because that's going to be, and you know, you're open and your partner isn't. Well, you're going to want to go to plays and movies and read books and discuss ideas, and they're not going to be interested in that at all. And you know, you kind of think of those as opinions, but they're really deeply rooted.